Hello my bookish friends, welcome back to my channel. Tonight I thought I would give you a sneak peek into my 2025 TBR. And a lot of people have done these videos already where you got 25 books for 2025. So I put through one together. Some of these books I've been on my TBR for a while, but I'm a mood reader, and if you're a fellow mood reader, you know that you will totally destroy your TBR for a random book that comes out or a series that you just started and you can't put down. That's how I am. So I got more than a few here, and I have a new tradition that I've started a couple of years ago where I will pick up an author I've never read before, and I will pick up a genre I've never read before. And this year I'm doing lit fic, and I don't really know where to start because I'm not a huge lit fic fan. I read mostly mysteries and thrillers. I love fantasy and historical fiction and sci-fi, and I really don't vary out from those genres very much. So I had to do a little digging to see where to start, and I did. A lot of my friends read Donna Tartt. So I got The Little Friend, and I'm not sure what this is even about. This is not the book that I went to the library to pick up they were out of it. So I picked up that one, and a lot of people are loving Kristen Hanna, and this is Kristen Hanna Wild. And I think this is a mystery, if I'm not mistaken. Come here, Harry. So I'm going to start with her. Now, but there's one lit fic author that I have read because their book was on everybody's favorite book of the year, and I couldn't figure it out because the people that I watch on BookTube are the same genre readers that I am. And when this was their favorite book of the year, my interest was piqued, and I had to go pick it up, and it was Lonesome Dove. And they were right. It is one of my all-time favorite books. And it will completely devastate you. I mean, it left me in a reading slump for a while, because to me that is the most devastating time period to live through that he had written about. And as a mother, these people were sending off their 13 and 14-year-old boys to random people, ranch hands, just find work, and you never see them again. Sometimes they have traveled across the country and you never see your children again. I cannot imagine that. So it devastated me. And so when I went to do a lit fic list, I picked up The Streets of Laredo. And this is a continuation of Lonesome Dove. And when Lonesome Dove ends, it just ends. You just it doesn't leave you on a cliffhanger, but you're like, that's it? You want to know what happened to these characters, because he writes characters so you're so involved in their lives. You want to know what they're feeling. You want to know where they're at now. So I picked up the second book. I can't believe that I loved the first one, but I've already bought the first one. Another genre that I'm reading this year, and I've never read this author before, is dystopian, and it is Robert McCammon, called Swan Song. And Swan Song is compared to The Stand by Stephen King, and The Stand is also one of my favorite books. So they say it's similar but different. So I'm anxious to see what's so similar and what's so different about Swan Song. And of course, I have Under the Dome by Stephen King. Never read anything by Stephen King that I didn't like, so I'm anxious to read this. I've watched some of the TV series, and it's okay, but the books is always better. And I find that Stephen King's adaptations are not great. It's hard to put what he writes into a movie or a TV series. So I'm excited about that one. And I'm going to do a shameless plug for this one. This is called The Last Mine, apocalyptic story from Apocalyptic Story of the Appalachian Resilience. And this is actually by my brother-in-law, D.K. Hall. And it's a dystopian novel. And I'll just read the back because I don't want to screw it up. I've already read this. It is awesome. You can read it in one sitting just because you get invested in the characters and you want to see what happens. So, my daughter's calling. Hold on. Okay. My daughter's crazy. All right. Harry, be quiet. Okay. So I'm going to read the back blurb for you. so I don't mess nothing up. Shh, for heaven's sakes. Harry, be quiet. In the rugged Appalachian Mountains, where coal mining is a way of life passed down through generations, my youngest son's a coal miner, so this kind of hits hard for some people. Dale Rogers begins another graveyard shift at Elkhorn Mine number 25, despite the grueling work that has taken a toll on his body. After 2 decades underground, as Dale's 10-person crew puts in a late night's work deep within the earth, their worst fears are realized when the recent national news headlines become a reality. North Korea has attacked the U.S. Nuclear strikes rained down upon Washington, D.C. and the major cities along the east coast of the U.S. The resulting EMPs affect the major news and media outlets, leaving the country in the dark. The strikes continue into the heartland where coal is produced to create steel for a growing American infrastructure, something the country attacking the U.S. doesn't have. Dale and his crew attempted to escape the deep, dark mine as tremors shake the foundations. The result is a collapse of the mine, leaving the group trapped underground. They must rely on their skill sets to try and save themselves as they realize no one is coming for them. Emerging into the nightmare above ground, Dale and those who remain find Appalachia has indeed been struck. The once lush mountains reduced to smoldering rubble and fallout raining from the sky. The lucky few left alive face the chilling reality that life as they knew it is over. It's amazing. You can read it in one sitting, like I said, just because you're anxious to find out the outcome of these characters. You get invested that fast. It's about just a 200-page book. Like I said, if you have a coal miner in your family, my youngest is a coal miner. I had my uncles and cousins were coal miners, so it hit me hard. But its name is D.K. Hall. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it Barnes & Noble, I think, Joseph F. bookstores. It's amazing. And I think he's working on part 2. He's working on a sequel. So the next one I will go through are my thrillers that I'm going to read. And I started We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. But I had to DNF it just for right now. I don't think I was just in the mood to read a mystery. And The Mystic River by Dennis Lehane. I love the movie. So I've never read actually Dennis Lehane. So that's a new author to read this year. And Daniel Silva, The Order, which I think this is more of a historical mystery thriller. Sounded good to me. For horror, I'm going to read The Terror by Dan Simmons. I love Dan Simmons. I read Dan Simmons' Hyperion this past year. And I think this is also a TV series. I've not watched it, but I'm going to read the book first. I need some room up here. Stephen King. I'm going to read Pet Sematary finally. I don't know why I've not read Pet Sematary yet. I think everybody has read Pet Sematary. And I've already started this, The September House by Carissa Orlando. And it's got the creepometer already high, just in the prologue. So this is going to be a fun read. Okay, now next I'm going to go through my historical fiction books. And every summer, I lay by the pool all summer long, and my first book that I pull out is a Diana Gabaldon book. And this year I'm reading An Echo in the Bone. I love her books. It's fascinating to read how she is a modern day nurse. Well, not modern day as of today, and then she is transported back in time to where, I don't want to give away any spoilers. That's going to be my problem with this. Well, she's transported back in time and have to come up with ways to do her nursing skills and doctor skills with tools and medicines that is not even invented yet. So, and a lot of people, and she gets accused in one of her books as being a witch because she knows this stuff. It's awesome read. It's also a TV series, and the books and the TV series are pretty, they follow each other. The movies follow the book pretty well. Another book like Lonesome Dove that people have had as book of the year that don't read this genre normally was Gone with the Wind. And this is crazy. I've never read Gone with the Wind. So I'm really anxious to read it, but I'll probably read it this summer by the pool. My son's going to tease me about that, I'm sure. Everybody on BookTube is doing a lot of people, I shouldn't say everybody, on BookTube is doing a buddy read. And they're doing Bernard Cornwell, The Last Kingdom. I think Mike's with Mike Book Reviews, Talking Tube, I'm drawing a blank. They're doing this as a buddy read, and I think they've already read it, and they say it's great. I've never read Bernard Cornwell, but The Last Kingdom is one of my favorite shows on Netflix. So I'm anxious to read it too. Okay, well, one of them I'm super excited to read, and I want to get to this right away, is Speak the Nightingale by Robert McCammon. And if this is more like a witch trial type book. It's not, it's in the Carolinas. It's in the Carolinas and during 1699. And it is book 1 of the Matthew Corbett series. So this is going to be good. I already know it's going to be good. I've never even read Robert McCammon yet. This book, Ken Follett, is a trilogy, The Pillars of the Earth. And nobody that has reviewed this book has said anything negative about it that I've watched. So I'm looking forward to reading some of his novels this year. And this one has been on my TBR for a year. And as soon as this show came out, my husband went and bought me the book. Of course, I've not read it because everybody that does a review in it, they put them in a reading slump. It is that good of a book. And it is James Clavell, Shogun. But I'm definitely going to start this. I'm going to start this soon. I planned to start it back in December. And I've had such a busy year this year. And I've not been able to get to it. So, next one of my favorite series is the Jim Butcher. This is the next, what is this? The Dresden Files. I drew a blank. But Death Mask is the next book I'm reading. And a lot of times I will read Jim Butcher for a palate cleanser because it's a quick read. It's relaxing. To me, it's relaxing. One of my friends started me on this series and he called it the show Supernatural, but for adults. And it is kind of like that. I love it. The Dandelion series by Ken Liu is at the top of my list this year. Everybody loves this one. And one of that I don't know that's not heard talked about a lot, but it's Howard Andrew Jones, Lord of the Shattered Land. And there's 3 of these books out right now. And I don't think that there'll be another one. I think he's been diagnosed with brain cancer, tragically. But everybody loves these books. So I'm going to give that a try. A new trilogy I've been nervous to start because everybody says it's kind of hard to understand, and never start fantasy out with this series. But it's the Stephen Erickson Malazan series. Gardens of the Moon is the first book. So I've got the first one. I'm a little nervous, but now I got to see what everybody's talking about. And Empire of the Vampire is on my list by Jay Kristoff. Not your run-of-the-mill vampire story, but it's supposed to be really good. A lot of the booktubers that I watch, it's doing January, and that's for Jenny Wirtz. And I got to Ride Hill's Chasm and The Curse of the Mistwraith. I'll read To Ride Hill's Chasms first. And then this book, The Curse of the Mistwraith, starts a whole series. And it's a super long series, I think. But what I like about her, or what I'm hearing and I'm thinking I'm going to like about her, is she is an old-fashioned fantasy writer. And she's super cool to talk to. I've watched people do interviews of her, and she is super cool to talk to. Okay, I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I have never read The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. And I picked up the first 3 books of this series because I had finished, my first fantasy series that I've ever read is Ice and Fire. And so they said this is what to read next. That's my first fantasy ever that I've read, and I loved it. And I started watching the series, and reading this, and it didn't really follow well, so I had to quit both of them. So now I'm ready to pick this series back up because that's all anybody ever talks about, being one of their favorite books to read. So I'm going to read that this year. Of course, continue with Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, who's one of my favorite authors. And an author I've never read before is Tad Williams. Now, this one is the Witchwood Crown. That's what my local library had. What I was wanting to get was a Dragonbone chair. So I might start this before Dragonbone chair, but Dragonbone chair is what I went to the library to try to pick up for this video. Okay, now back to sci-fi. One of my favorite genres. And Neil Stephenson is an author I've never read before that I'm going to try this year. This one's called The Fall. A author I've never read before, Blake Crouch, Dark Matter. These has got rave reviews too. If you like these, leave me a comment and tell me what your favorite is or where to start. Okay, this is Darth Plagueis, but it's a Star Wars novel by James Luceno, and I've never read him. I've only read Timothy Zahn, and my oldest son said that's not even where to start. Timothy Zahn wasn't his favorite of all of them. I don't know if that's how true that is, because I've only read one. The Three Body Problem. This has got a lot of mixed reviews, but it sounds good. I'm going to start there. One I'm ashamed that I've never read before is Dune by Frank Herbert. I am going to read this year. I'm for sure going to read this year. For sure. I have watched the first movie and I have watched Dune Prophecies, and I love those. So that is high on my list. For sure. High on my list. Also, one I'm going to read probably right away is Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. I've already read the first 3 of this trilogy. The Red Rising. I can't see nothing without my glasses. The Red Rising series, and I love the first trilogy, but the second part of the trilogy, people are not. I've had a lot of mixed reviews, and I think I'm going to like it because these characters grow up. I don't know if that's the problem or what the problem is with it says it just takes it in a different way than what they wanted the series to go. So I'm going to start that right away. And another one I'm going to start for sure within this month probably is the James S. Corey novels. The Expanse series, Leviathan Waits. I know I'm super behind on all these. These are not new releases. I'm ashamed. But I'm really excited. I've been watching a series on TV about this, and it looks pretty good. So that's my TBR, my tentative TBR so far. Like and subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment down below to tell me what your TBR is. Have you read any of these? And go pick up my brother-in-law's book, The Last Mine by D.K. Hall. Put it on your TBR this year. See ya.